You are now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. Tan and I talk about this off camera all the time.
Yeah.
Because if I can be vulnerable with everyone watching and listening, until I came across people like yourself, Tan, where when we created Queens in Business, without going through the whole detailed story, maybe that might come up, maybe not. I approached a handful of women and said, I've got this crazy idea. Do you want to come on the ride with me? And you all said yes. You're all suckers. Little did you know what we were going to create. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. It was the most amazing yes I ever had. And since then, when we first did our very first event, we were all on the stage. I remember someone in the audience coming up and saying, the fact that, Chloe, you are the only white Caucasian founder of this business is amazing. And up until that moment, I had never noticed.
Yeah.
It never come. And I was like, really? And I remember looking at you all along on the stage going, holy shit. Because for me, I've never noticed, because to me, we're all totally unique.
Yes.
And it's not just our race or our beliefs or our religion that defined us. And but I think, unfortunately, it does still need to be said. And when the reason I love that we can have this conversation was I remember when Black Lives Matter was happening, and I had already started building my brand, my voice, and a lot of people came to me and said, I'd love to interview you on it. And I'll be honest, really vulnerably, I was terrified.
Yeah.
Because
You don't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what would be acceptable. What if I say the wrong thing and upset any race, let alone black, white, anyone?
Yeah.
And because it felt like it was uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And so to me, saying nothing felt safer.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to you very vulnerably one night when we had a lot of our weekends away, and over, I don't drink, but over a few drinks, we sort of said, actually, I was like, Tan, can I ask you a question? Being really vulnerable, what can I say? What's acceptable? What am I allowed to say? Because I want to talk about it. And you remember you saying to me, silence is also saying something. You were like, not saying it doesn't solve the problem. And ever since then, I remember the very first time we were on Clubhouse together, way back in those days.
Yes.
And I remember you mentioning it, and I thought, do you know what? I feel safe now. I can say it because I'd had almost like permission to talk about it. And that's why I find it amazing that we can have this conversation, because I think it does need to be said.
Oh my gosh, it's important that we talk about it. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what the for me, obviously, it's a black and white issue, or whatever an issue it is. Whoever you are, you need to talk about it, right? Whatever your difference is, whatever your fight is, whatever your cause is, you need to talk about it, because it's important that awareness is had. Because let's go back to Black Lives Matter, right? I think for me, maybe it was just because me being in the adult life now. Obviously, that is not the first time that kind of a situation has happened, right? It's one of a million, trillion, billion situations that's happening. And it's still happening today, right? For me, I always say, like, you know, I guess why it hits so hard is because it was televised the way it was. And the sheer directness or evilness, I'm going to call it that, because it was that another person felt that it was okay to just continue to do what he was doing because he felt in a place of authority to do that. How evil do you have to be to keep doing that? You know, to take someone's life like that in any kind of respect. And black, white, whatever the situation is, right? But let's focus on the Black Lives Matter. And for that, when everything came about, I actually did one of the protests, but in a small town, so it wasn't as huge. I was not going to be doing the big protests, no. But I went to a smaller space and did the protest there, and it was so cool being in that, and I loved the unity that it brought.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just black people just talking about it. It was white, it was Asian, it was anybody who was breathing under the sun talking about it, who had an ounce of morals about them, right? And who knew right from wrong. If you know right from wrong, you know what to stand up for, you know what to speak about, you know? But yet, I agree. You don't have to like be trashing every Tom, Dick and Harry of a thing. There's a way to, in my opinion, a way to kind of go about it and still be heard.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to shout about it, but I can do my own bit in this kind of a way. Like, for example, on my post, for example, I just did like a series of they were all based around obviously Black Lives Matter and reasons why. And then equally the understanding of, because I know there was this argument as well, but okay, if you're saying Black Lives Matter, well then why are you discriminating against white people? Why are you discriminating
I was
against
hoping
Asian
that would come
people?
up here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are you discriminating about what about, I can then say, all this kind of like, obviously every life matters, but you cannot say all lives matter until you include Black in that.
Yeah.
Or until you
100%.
include any other race in that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a case of, that's what, in my head, what the campaign was about. And even I'm going to call, as much as I said it as a campaign, it actually became a whole movement for a change. Rather than it being a trend, it was a whole movement.
Just a trend or a hashtag or anything. And I think one thing that I love about when we talk about this is because it is about creating unity. And one of the things which we're massive on Queens of Business is about creating that. Now, one of the things that I always find is really important when it comes to race, religion, beliefs, a lot of people see it as us versus them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, oh no, it's not us versus them, it's us and them. Actually, it's just us.
Yes.
Like we're all just people. And we're all just people with our own beliefs, our own missions, our own visions. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't act like we're different, because that's what branding is all about. It's about being unique and focusing on your uniqueness. It doesn't have to be your skin color. It doesn't have to be your race. It doesn't have to be your beliefs. It can just be your flavor, your passion.